I'm going to be honest with you. I think the slow drop all comes from the transition to right foot back. Like, listen, I think anytime a quarterback puts that right foot back in the gun, you start getting out of precision footwork and you start getting into a feel. And then everyone on Twitter is like, well, Tim, what do you think about when Aaron Rodgers was doing it? Remind me how Aaron Rodgers started his career. I'm relatively certain it was with his left foot back in the gun playing on time, right? Then you get to a point in your career where there's certain guys, Aaron Rodgers being one of them, that you could probably put him blindfolded back there and he'd do a pretty good job of understanding what the defense is doing, right? He's a great quarterback. There's a lot of guys. Think about Tom Brady. He was the guy who started the right foot back in the gun deal. When did he start it? Early in his career? No, late in his career. And you know what else they did? Everybody knows, or I think anybody with like a shrivel of football IQ knows this. Look at the Patriots when they started putting the right foot back in the gun. Their receivers, did they continue to have their inside foot up? No. They put their outside foot up. Why? Because now we're running 4-step slants, 2-step slants. But get to the root of it. Why did New England do that? Did they do it because it was cool and edgy and everyone's doing it? No, they did it because they had freaking Julian Edelman and Wes Welker in the slot. How do you get a 5'6" white guy deeper on his slant? You put his outside foot up, dude. Right? So now they're deeper on their modified quick game. Like, there's so much stuff that we do now in the NFL because we see other people do it. And then we lose this piece and we're like, I wonder why this quarterback who's early in his career is slowing his drop. And it's like, gee golly whiz, you think it's because we ripped away the footwork that he's done for the last 20 years of his life and now we're making him play with his right foot back and play in more of a feel situation with like concepts that he's probably not even comfortable with yet. So to me, it's like, you literally could drop me over there tomorrow, and if you put his left foot back, we're playing faster in 2 weeks. Can I guarantee that makes him an all-pro? No. But I can guarantee we stop taking dumb sacks or our feet aren't tied to our progression, but instead we're just going to sit here and be like, well, Aaron Rodgers does it. Brock Purdy does it. Yeah, Brock Purdy also has assigned footwork with his right foot back. It's not like, hey, take 7 hops, and then we'll see if this guy's open. So to me, there's stuff that it's like so frustrating because I think Justin is talented, but like at some point you have to sit there and you go, hey, we forced this kid who we're trying to get to speed up to now play with uncomfortable footwork, and we're wondering why he's playing slower. I'm just like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, you know? I left college early, so I'm not going to act like I'm super educated, but I know football, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's where I want to follow up with you on this because just feel free to get football-y here because you can explain it better than me. I mean, the footwork is tied to the timing and everything. That's why it matters so much. Can you just kind of explain to our listeners, our viewers, like why that's so important and why switching it the way Luke Getsy did last year with Justin Fields from the footwork he had been using at Ohio State in his first year in the NFL, why they thought that would help him and why it hasn't really worked out.
So people think it helps so let's first start about the origin of it. The origin of playing quarterback, your left foot for a right-handed quarterback. Okay, we're talking righties. Your left foot's back under center, and everything was built off, hey, 3-step in the quick game, 5-step in the downfield game, 7-step in the shot game, right? That's where we started. Then we said, hey, let's back this guy up. Let's put him in shotgun. So we changed everything. So the shotgun clock became, hey, if I'm under center and 3-step, now when I'm in the gun, I catch, I flip, I fire, or I catch in 3. A catch in 3 in the gun would be 5 under center, right? So we did that for all these years. And then there's this guy who decided to win 7 rings. He put his right foot back. The Patriots did it because of their receiving core and their lack of depth in what we now call the modified quick game, which isn't the true West Coast quick game. It's slightly deeper. So he starts to put his right foot back. What does that also enable him to do? He keeps his right foot back, catches the ball, and he spins out all these smoke screens, right? How many times do you remember watching New England play on Sunday Night Football and they motion Julian Edelman down into the bunch set and they throw a freaking quick game out there and he scores a touchdown on the 3. And then you hear, Chris Collinsworth, right foot back. You gotta love it, right? Like, he doesn't know. Nobody really knew why they were doing it unless you were studying ungodly amounts of tape. I didn't catch up to it. And this is my profession, coaching quarterbacks, until let's call it 4.5 years ago of really figuring out how are we going to actually tie our right foot back? Now we're at this point where everyone's doing it. Everyone does right foot back because the greats started doing it. Well, the greats started doing it because it gave them this opportunity to cheat an extra step, meaning my foot's going to hit the ground slightly quicker than it does with my back foot, okay? But what else does that do? And this is the important thing. It gets your eyes there earlier. For a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, who understands how will Tampa 2 impact this play? And is this backer really committing to the flat, or is this corner really committing to the flat? Or are my eyes fooling me because I'm there earlier? They were okay because they had so many reps that they liked getting their eyes there earlier. I would tell you guys, the worst thing for a quarterback that's young is to get his eyes there early. So now, Justin, let's talk about just some of these routes where we're like, man, why'd he get off the sail? We talked about it week 1, right, Adam? Mm-hmm. Hey, he got off the sail to DJ Moore. He was wide open. Why'd he do that? He's probably there a split second early because he's playing with his right foot back. And then when you see, that backer's carrying, he's not actually going to carry him though, but he's carrying right now because I'm there a split second early. Well, then I get off it, get to my check down. But instead, if I'm playing with my left foot back and I take a true 5-step, guess what? It's going to clear the same way it cleared for Joe Montana and Dan Marino and everyone else on planet Earth who play with their left foot back, and they saw it with their eyes, and now it's open. Well, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, those kind of guys, they know it's going to end up clearing, so they just sink on it. I don't think Justin's there to have enough reps in the professional football passing game to say, I know it's going to clear. Like, there's not very many guys in the league that have enough reps to let it clear. He's definitely one of them. So to me, it's like if we put his left foot back, his eyes will be a tick slower, but I don't mean it from we're late. I mean it from you're getting to the progression when you're supposed to, when that guy will actually be open, which to me is a critical thing when you're talking about a quarterback who needs to cut it free in some of these deep concepts.
That's such high-level football stuff, Tim. I love it. I love it. I love it. The only thing I love better than high-level football stuff is the basic level stuff, because even when you talk about the reasons why they chose to go right foot back, the reasons why they chose to go outside foot up for these receivers, it's because I'm doing what I need to do to make my players the best they can be. That's the basis of all of it. Do what you need to do to make your player the best that they can be, and you're not doing that to Justin. You're doing the exact opposite of that with Justin. You are not making him the best version of himself. You're trying to play this whole complicated thing, and that's fine, but it's not getting him to produce at his optimum level. And if I'm Luke Getsy, all I want him to do is perform at his optimum level, because if he does that, I'm a head coach next year, right? If he doesn't, I'm fired before the year's over. And so he needs to kind of flip his perspective, maybe let go of a little bit of his ego and say, this thing isn't about my system and what I want to do or what I watched 12 do for so long up in Green Bay. It's about what can one do here in Chicago, and what he needs to do is flip his feet, slow his eyes down, and allow him to go through his progressions on a more natural clock, and then he won't miss these digs to Tyler Scott, the seams to Roshan, the sail to DJ. He won't miss these things because he'll be on a more natural clock. You can almost literally see him thinking as he's dropping back. You can kind of see him, okay, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, I'm supposed to do that. He's not playing. He's constantly thinking, and when you're doing that, you're a little bit slow.
Amen. Amen. And that Roshan clip was so great, right? The seam. And the coach's answer was great. What'd he say? Oh, it was a little congested, right? Yeah. He thought it was like, well, why was it congested? Because guess what? Your eyes were there a split second too early, right? So to me, it's like, it's such a good example. I also think, like, to me, if you could speed him up from a tempo perspective, like I get, hey, we want to huddle, we want to get the can checks in, but if they could speed him up from, hey, we're going to start running no huddle, I think you also force the defense into, hey, what are our hurry checks? And then it also helps him get to his progressions a little bit quicker. So I think there's a lot of stuff that they could do. And unfortunately, it kind of feels like we're not doing it for him.